Well, hi there guys, Mark here, and welcome today to a review on a lovely old 1959 Bsa C15. Stay tuned. Well, hi guys, and welcome today to a review on a lovely Bsa C15 from 1959. This is actually my personal bike. I've actually bought it about a week ago. I paid £1,850 for it, got a good price from the guy. But generally the prices on these, I looked, they're around about 2,000, maybe 2.5 to 3 for an absolute minter. I was told this engine's had some work done on it, it's been restored, so it seems to ride really nicely. So it's a 249cc single cylinder. It's a long stroke engine with quite a heavy flywheel, so it does feel very, very different to, say, a modern Enfield 350 Classic. It's got a really good solid thump to it. It does take quite a while to kind of get its momentum, but once it's up and running, it really does ride beautifully. It's got a lovely thump to it. You'll hear that later on. Really, really nice sound from that exhaust. Comfortable, feels a lot more solid, shall we say, than the Bantam that I reviewed last week. So yeah, 249cc single, 4-stroke overhead valve. It's got the Amal 375 carburetor in there. I've had that apart and given it a bit of a clean and adjusted the mixture screw to the best of my sort of ability. Seems to run pretty well now. Claimed horsepower is 15 horsepower at 7,000. Kind of feels that sort of power, but as it's a 250cc 4-stroke, it's got lots of torque. It's very long geared, 4 speeds on this. It's got quite a high first gear. You have to slip the clutch a bit, but once it's just up and running, it does have really, really good torque. It's lovely to ride. 3-gallon fuel tank. They're saying around about 100 to the gallon from these. Haven't quite worked that out yet, but it does seem to be good on fuel. I've got the lovely old sort of logbook with it as well. That's quite nice. So these C15s were made from 1958 to 67. A sort of a commuting bike back in the day. Probably not that expensive to buy and very cheap to run and everything like that. This one, for some reason, doesn't have a chain guard or a centre stand. Maybe they've fallen off. The side stand was ridiculously short. The bike nearly fell over on me. I was told that this can slip round on the frame, but it hasn't slipped round on the weld, so I've just put a piece of wood on the bottom there just to get the right angle just for now. Probably get a longer side stand at some point, or maybe weld a bit into it. But everything works nicely on it. Starts about sort of the 5th kick in the morning on a cold morning, and once it's warmed, it starts well. Just tickle the carb on the little plunger button there, and it starts quite well. It feels a lot more solid than a Bantam. The suspension's a lot better. It's a lot more comfortable. It just feels a more solid, heavier bike. It's a really nice bike to ride. Charming to ride out in the countryside. So yeah, really pleased with it. It's a good sort of cheap-ish way to get into classic bikes. It's not like £5,000, £8,000 a lot of these older bikes can fetch. So I just thought I'd get into it, in a sort of a cheaper way. So it says there 699 miles. I'm sure it's done a lot more than that. The amp meter does have a bit of a mind of its own. Maybe I have to sort that out at some point. The speed on the internet says these can do 80 miles an hour. It's got the same sort of power as a modern 125, and those do about 55-60. I've had it up to 50, and that's GPS checked. This speedo, by the way, is totally accurate. If it says 50, it's doing 50. I would say personally, you know, at 50 miles an hour, it's really revving high. It's on the standard gearing as far as I know, so I personally think 55-60 would be about the top whack for this, which is absolutely fine for me, just for cruising around the country lanes. So anyway, that's that. You know, with these old bikes, anything over 40 years old is MOT and tax exempt here in the UK. So anyway, let's take her for a ride. Here we go then, Bsa C15. So it's very, very small, nice and low. I'm 5'7", 30-inch inside leg, and my feet are flat to the floor with knees slightly bent. So we just turn this key here, that way. It's got I is ignition and the other way is E emergency, I believe. So if you've got a flat battery, it will start from the magneto. Fuel is on. Where's that? Pull that for on. And kickstart time is always good fun. So see if it will start first kick. So I got it going eventually. It took about 10 kicks for some reason. Normally it's about 3 or 4, but probably just me getting used to it. So into gear. Obviously gears on this are on the right, and away we go. Right, so out on the open road on the lovely, charming Bsa C15. So up to third gear. Very long geared, so you have to slip the clutch a bit, but just going along like this engine sounds absolutely brilliant. Up to fourth gear. I have GPS checked the speedo, it's spot on accurate. So guys, I don't know a huge amount of about old classic bikes. I'm more 1980s onwards really, so any comments, knowledge, experiences that you've had years ago, please post down below in the comments. Everyone likes to read that, so that'd be great. I really appreciate that. So at this bike now, look, we're doing 45 and it feels absolutely great. It's got a really nice thump coming from that single cylinder down below. The ride quality is nice, it's good suspension, it's comfortable. It's just that engine is absolutely glorious. Just going to open it up a bit. So there's your 50 miles an hour, and that's true speed. I've GPS checked it. The engine's revving pretty high now, so I think maybe 55-60 would be flat out on this particular bike. But it's going to slow it down to a more leisurely 45. That's nice. You can definitely feel like the vibrations, the power pulses, but it's not annoying. It's just really pleasant. Brakes, obviously drum brakes, front and rear. The back brake is very good. The front brake is adequate. So I'm just going to drop it down to third gear now. The gearbox on this is really nice. It's ever so slick, very positive. Say for a late 1950s bike, that's good. But it's just the feel of it. It just feels visceral. It's very nice, very engaging to ride. You know, these must have been really, really good in the 50s when they came out. So just going down the gearbox now. Down to first, I think. Got to get used to this right hand gear change. So there you go, there's first gear. Look, you've got to really sort of slip it quite a bit, but once you're rolling, it's still first gear, nearly 25 mile an hour in first gear. Yeah, glorious noise. I don't know if the silencer is standard, but it's very clean and tidy, and it sounds really good. So here we go, first gear, opening it up, second, third. It's got a lovely bit of torque to it and very effortlessly up to 40 miles an hour. It's got a little mirror there, it's a bit blurry but you can still see behind, but the overall feel of it, it's quite a light little bike. It's just gorgeous to ride along like this. Really, really nice. So just down to a 30 limit now. Third gear. It's just absolutely purring along at this sort of speed. It's got a very mellow throttle. Obviously it's carburettor. And it's very, very different feel to a modern fuel injection for sure, but it's just the simplicity of it is lovely. You know, very, very simple points ignition system with a coil, simple rectifier, very, very basic wiring under the seat, but it just feels absolutely glorious to ride. Alright, let's take it on a bit more of an open road, an A road, and just see if she'll hold, like, you know, 50, keeping up with the traffic. Down to second. It's just so satisfying to rev it out. That sound is brilliant. Right, third gear at the moment, 45, into top gear, just about coming up to the 50 now. There you go. So there's 50 miles an hour. It's nearly flat out. It'll probably push to about 55, I would say, 60, but these old bikes are not really about that. It's more just about cruising along. So that's actually quite a nice speed there, 50, so I'm happy with that. So there you go guys, you can on the C15 on the open road and no problems at all. Alright, let's find some up here for final thoughts. Well, there you are guys, the Bsa C15, a lovely classic old motorcycle from the 50s, late 50s, a sort of good sort of do-it-all, ride-to-work bike, cheap to buy and run I expect back in the day. And if you're looking to get into classic bikes today, a good sort of entry level, I would say, to get you into them. So guys, please post your comments down below about classic bikes, especially the C15. Did you have one yourself? Don't forget to give me a like, share and subscribe, and I'll catch you again in a week or so for another review. Ride safe guys, all the best, bye for now.